US President Donald Trump has posted on social media about reported attacks on commercial vessels in the Strait. He said Iran has taken some shots at unrelated nations with respect to the ship movement. Project Freedom, including a South Korean cargo ship. Perhaps it's time, he says, for South Korea to come and join the mission. We shot down several small boats, or as they like to call them, fast boats. It's all they have left. Other than the South Korean ship, there has been, at this moment, no damage going through the Strait. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff Dan Kane will have a news conference, and that'll be tomorrow morning. Let's bring in Mike Fifley, who's founder and president of Off the Record Strategies and a US national security analyst, and joins us now from Washington, D.C. Mark, great to have you with us.
Hello,
you've
David.
often spoken of Donald Trump timing major moves on a weekend, and so it was last night with the announcement of Project Freedom. Is there no more calculation than that in this, do you think?
I think it's that, of course. Mr. Trump focuses on the openings of the markets. He's done that several times now during this blockade. At the same time, he's also trying to test the Iranian chokehold. It's a very narrow passage. He thinks he can get leverage, and it's likely he can, if a significant amount of ships can make it through during this Project Freedom tactic. And that way that he can get leverage that can then be used against the Iranians as ships get through that have the U.S. support, while the Iranian ships are unable to move its way through the Strait of Hormuz. So it's more of a tactical way to test the process for Mr. Trump as he continues to find leverage in this sequencing battle that he has right now with Tehran. Tehran, of course, wants to open up the Strait of Hormuz to their vessels and all vessels, and then talk about the nuclear issue at a future date to be named later. Mr. Trump says, no, give over your nukes now, and then we will also open up the Strait of Hormuz. So that's what's going on right now. It's a battle for who can get the most pressure on the other one to move the negotiation forward in a positive way.
But is it likely to bridge the chasm between the two sides, especially on the nuclear issue? Can they narrow that gap?
So remains to be seen. So all of this pressure is having significant impact on both sides. The Iranians are seeing enormous pressure on their economy. Of course, they get about 30 to 40% of their country's wealth from oil that is unable to move to market. That has had a significant impact on their economy, 50% plus inflation. The numbers of the rial right now are 1.84 million of their rial to a U.S. dollar. Their economy is not doing well, to say the least. They are seeing a situation right now where they haven't had the internet for over 2 months, except if you are part of the regime. So that limits their ability to do basic commerce to move their economy forward. So the Americans' hope is that this blockade has such an impact on them, on the Iranians, that they have to come back to the negotiation table. Now, of course, it goes both sides. We've seen oil spikes in the Brent oil numbers at over $113 per barrel. We see in America that the price per gallon of gas is well over $4 right now. So both sides are hurting. The hope by the Trump administration is that so much pressure is put on the Iranian regime for their ability to conduct basic government functions. Millions of people in Iran are moving towards poverty. They're having a difficult time just paying for food.
Right.
And that puts enough pressure on to bring them to the table back to Islamabad, or at least on the telephone, to talk real issues about a long-term ceasefire.
You talked about this working both ways. How much pressure is Donald Trump under domestically, and has he written off the midterms now?
So I think there's significant pressure on Mr. Trump. Of course, he has elections coming up in November. Right now, his political party is behind quite significantly in the battle for who controls the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. At the same time, he is also a president who looks at the gas price and takes pride in the fact that it's lower, it was anyway, than before he took office, and that the stock market is up, unemployment is down, inflation is steady. He looks at those markers and he sees that as his internal report card. Right now, The main thing we've seen is that increase in gas prices that has caused millions of dollars in added money that has to be spent out of our economy for higher gas prices, and that's going to have a long-term effect on supply chains. We saw one U.S. small airline go under this past weekend, partially because of an increase in jet fuel. So it is having an impact. But at this point, he has stayed very strident in his public messaging about this war and continues to focus on Iran and continual messages to hopefully bring them to the table.
All right, Mark Pfeiffer, thanks very much indeed for that. Thank you.